Second day of our CEDAR workshop. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you continue enjoying the rest of the day and the rest of the week. So we're going to start the plenary session this morning. And we have a few announcements to make. And before I go into that, I would like to introduce myself. I'm a professor at Penn State in the Department of Electrical Engineering. I started my career in Jicamarca Observatory, came to CEDAR when I was a student, and then I'm here. I have two of my colleagues, Azeem from SRI, who will be monitoring the Slido questions. And I also have my colleague Irfan from NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center, who will be handling the microphone questions in the person meeting. Hello to those of you who are logging online, streaming, and welcome also to the CEDAR session today. So we have a few announcements to make for the students who are participating in the poster competition. Please make sure that you hang your poster today by noon and leave it late beyond 6:30 p.m. today. We also have a town hall meeting today in this room at 12:30, so hope everyone can join and participate here in this room at 12:30, town hall. And with that, I think I would like to welcome to our first speaker for the morning session is Dr. Alan Liu from the National Science Foundation to give us an update.
Okay, hi, good morning, everyone. Really glad to be here, see everyone in person after 2.5 years. I'm Alan Liu. I'm currently the section head of Geospace section at NSF in the Atmospheric and the Geospace Science Division. So I'll give you some update about our recent activities in the section. So first, let me introduce our team. AGS division head currently is Candace Major. I'm the section head, and we currently have 5 program directors in the section. Tai-Yin Huang and Jialin Huang, they just joined us recently in January. Roman McCormack is managing the facility program. Mangla Sharma is managing the space weather program, and Lisa Winter is managing the solar terrestrial program. And Jialin is managing the magnetosphere physics. Tai-Yin is specifically charged in developing a data infrastructure program to support the community, because we recognize that's an important issue now. But at the meantime, we are still doing a search of the agronomy program director, which I was the director in the past 2 years. So the search is currently ongoing, but at the same time, Tai-Yin is managing the agronomy program for us. Okay? And the Tai-Yin and the Roman both are in our audience today. So if you have any questions, please reach out to them and to me, of course. Okay? And in addition to that, we also, in the summer, go back. Okay, so in the summer, we also have 2 student interns that join us. One is Taylor Leitner from Virginia Tech, and she is working with Mangla Sharma on studying the student support of all the CubeSat programs that Mangla is managing. So CubeSat, we know it's a really great program to give student experience in research, undergraduate students. And we have this, great to have this intern to work with to analyze what's happening in the past. Okay? And we have another intern, Victoria Gomez, and she actually is with us today. We are happy that she is able to actually join the CEDAR meeting for the first time, because she's not too far away from San Antonio. And she is actually working with Tai-Yin as well as Jialin on this data infrastructure project. So to start, she's looking at the data management plans of our past awards to see how this FAIR principles has been followed or practiced. Okay. All right. So just a brief update on our section budget. This is the fiscal 21 budget numbers, which ended October last year. And these are the numbers for each core programs and the facilities and the space weather. I just want to mention that for space weather, the number seems low, but that was just because there was over 3 million loan from space weather to facilities. So the budget was a little bit kind of in flux because of the Arecibo cleanup process. Okay. But overall, excluding Arecibo, we have a small increase of the budget over the previous year, FY20. And we awarded 70 awards during that fiscal year. And most of the awards we make are called a standard award, which means we give out the fund once altogether instead of yearly, except some specific awards like a career. So that means that we don't have high obligations down the road. So we can, we have room to support many new activities. Okay. All right, so this is what I always like to announce at every meeting, which is our career award. And this past year, our section made 5 career awards. I'm really happy with all these awardees. So Diana Locke, I think she's in our audience, and she's from West Point. Payush Mehta is from West Virginia University. Both of these are aeronomy career awardees. And then we have Yixing Liu from Dartmouth. That's a magnetosphere physics award. And we have Hai Longchuo and Satoshi Inoue. That one is from University of Alabama, Huntsville, and the other from NJIT. And they were awarded from solar terrestrial physics. So yeah, congratulations to all the awardees. So just a reminder to potential applicants, if you're interested in career awards, this year deadline is July 27th. And I want to mention that the career award has to be applied to core programs. So currently that means we have aeronomy, MAG, and STR are core programs. But space weather is an important topic. Just program-wise, we don't have that as a core program, but you are certainly welcome to apply to space weather. You just need to submit to any one of the 3 core programs, and we'll consider that within the space weather program. So technically, you cannot submit to space weather, but don't stop doing that. Okay, so I want to mention that. Right. Okay. So another major activity in the past year is this answer solicitation. Many of you perhaps know. This solicitation is initiated by Space Weather Program. The big difference in this solicitation is that we are looking for activities that cross the 3 core programs to support space weather research. And we get a very high response. So after 2 panel reviews, very complex review process, we finally made these 7 awards. And some are, there are 2 categories. Some are small teams, some are larger team. And these are the 7 awards that involve 17 institutions. Actually, it involves more, but these 17 institutions are on the collaborative list. And the total award was near 12 billion. Okay. And the fund does not just come from space weather. All 3 core programs all chipped in, co-funded some of these programs. I think space weather, aeronomy co-funded at least 3 of them. Okay. Oops. All right. So for CEDAR specifically, so aeronomy program as well as the other 2 core program has targeted solicitations. So CEDAR is the solicitation within aeronomy. And starting last year, we decided to add a target date for these solicitations. So it helps the planning, and it actually encourages the community to submit proposals, because if you put that on your calendar, we see that it actually gets better response. So far, all this, the target date has passed for this year, and we are in the review process for all the 3 solicitations. These solicitations will have target date yearly, and you can see here, for CEDAR, it will be the first Friday of every May. Okay, so keep that in mind. Right. Now, for the target date, it's different from deadline in the sense that if you miss it by 1 day or 2 days, that will be okay. Okay, but the point is that we will organize the review soon after that, and if you don't get into the review, you will have to wait for a year. Okay. Okay. So I want to highlight several things that I think are probably interesting to the community. One is this innovation lab that you can apply. The link is down there. The deadline is July 15. Now, this is a very interesting activity in that it's a kind of a workshop. It's a 5-day workshop, but it gathered together people from, with expertise related to space weather, certainly, the aeronomy community, together with the industry and other parties to kind of brainstorming, talk about what project can be created to bring benefit of the expertise knowledge to the society. Okay? The particular focus here is on the power system, okay? How space weather affected the power grid. Okay? And there's a limit of 30 participants. So if you're interested in using your expertise to help benefit the society, and in this respect, please consider. Okay. The other is we have recently issued a DCL, Dear College Letter, called the GLOW. And the idea here is this is in collaboration with other divisions within ASF. So the idea is to use our knowledge learned from Earth to understand other world, exoplanet, etc. And also, it can be the other way around. Whatever we observe in the exoplanet help us understand the evolution of the Earth system. Okay? So if you are interested in expanding your research, you can submit a proposal to aeronomy, just saying you're responding to this DCL. Okay, so I want to, again, I mentioned 2 opportunities for career development. One is the mid-career Dear College Letter that we issued a while ago. And I want to emphasize that this is, we always looking out for ways to support people that during different career stages where you have special challenges. Now, early career, you have career award, but for mid-career, we just want to emphasize we have the flexibility to give support, to mid-career scientists in terms of, for example, the summer salary can be, maybe not 2 months, and then there are other things. So look at the DCL and see if you qualify in this mid-career range, okay? And when you submit a proposal, you can, again, reference to this DCL. Okay? The other thing is about the postdoc research fellowship. This is ongoing solicitation that's always there. So first of all, this is a fellowship that has 2-year support with currently with the 94K first year, 96 second year, that goes directly to the awardee, not to institutions. So the awardee actually directly manages the award, and that's kind of very different from regular awards. But this number, we are working on updating these numbers because this number has been there for a while, so we're trying to increase that. Okay? But it does require US citizenship or residency, okay? And you have to be less than 2 years after you get a PhD. Okay? So if you qualify, please consider apply. This is a very good opportunity to support your research after you get a PhD. Okay? It's a really good opportunity. So please consider. Right? Okay, so I want to repeat this broader impact. You all write proposals, and we all see you address the intellectual merit and the broader impact. Now, the broader impact at NSF really is a very important component when we evaluate the proposals. Many people may think broader impact will be something, okay, you support a student, automatically a broader impact. It's not really a major strength. Okay, so I want to emphasize that when you write proposals, please think of specific activities that relevant to broader impact. It's not just a natural result of your research project, okay? So if you put in specific activity that you plan to do, say, to address broader impact, and you can even allocate a budget for those activities, that will make your broader impact much stronger, okay? Keep thinking about broader impact as a distinct activity in your project, but of course, related to your research, okay? Not just a natural result of your research, okay? All right, so this, I just want to mention that about the decadal survey, it's an important activity currently going on. So Jared mentioned yesterday that they already select a co-chair, so things are start moving now, and maybe at some point they will announce the deadline. So on Wednesday, we'll have another town hall meeting at noon time, and please join if you're really interested in contributing to the decadal survey. That's really important for the community, especially for the if you're the community interested in create some large ground-based facility. Okay. All right. So I want to thank you to the organizer and the steering committee and also the student rep. Really glad to see that we have this in-person meeting, and I saw all the AV techs all working really well. Much better than AGU. So this is a great success. And I hope everyone enjoy this meeting. And we want to have this meeting to be a very welcome, inclusive meeting. Okay? So 3 of us will be here for the whole week. And please reach out to us for any questions. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. So we have 2 more speakers from NSF, and then we have time for questions. Okay. So the next speaker from NSF is Roman Makarovich from the facilities.
In the interest of time, and because there are significant updates to report, I'll focus on large class 1 facilities, and for the students in the room, these are just big anospheric radars. As most of you know, Arecibo has suffered some damage after suspended instrument platform collapsed in December 2020. And this is how the main reflector dish looks like. All the damaged panels have been removed, and the cleanup completed early this year. The visitor center at Arecibo is now open, and educational programs continue pretty much as before. Current investigators at Arecibo Observatory focus on the auxiliary instrumentation, using auxiliary instrumentation that has not been damaged, including passive optic sliders, as well as using historically available incoherent scatter radar data. The advanced modular incoherent scatter radar would support 2 radar facilities, one in Alaska called Pfizer, or Poker Flat Incoherent Scatter Radar, another one in northern Canada called RISA-N, Resolute Bay Incoherent Scatter Radar northern phase. Pfizer has largely continued as in previous year, with about 80% of uptime. In contrast, RISA-N has had only a limited opportunity to conduct observations last year. This is predominantly because of the problems with power supply. In response, 2 new high power generators were purchased and installed, and another generator will be installed, will be repaired. Let's move forward. Okay, thank you. For the Millstone Hill Observatory and its incoherent scatter radar, I would like to highlight a new innovation and vitality award, a substantial new investment that was made last year, whose primary aim is to increase the longevity and sensitivity of the system, and also improve access to the facility, particular the fully steerable antenna, which is actually important for education and public outreach purposes. We expect a number of greater scientific returns from this facility, but the 4 topics that are perhaps of particular interest include storm-enhanced densities, suborbital polarization stream, sporadic E, and eclipse studies, in particular during the next great US eclipse in 2024. And finally, for the HICA marker, Radio Observatory and its radar, it's celebrating its 60th anniversary this year, and it's also fast approaching the end of its 5-year funding cycle. So the new award that was just made will focus on exploring unique plasma processes and phenomena near the magnetic equator, including 150 kilometers echoes, high altitude echoes, as well as substorm effects near the magnetic equator. It also includes a significantly expanded educational programs run at HICA marker. On top of that, we were able to make a new Innovation Vitality Award, and the focus of that award is to expand or extend measurements in the magnetosphere and topside ionosphere to about 10,000 kilometers from the current limit of about 6,000 kilometers. It also includes the effort to continue using medium power incoherent scatter radar mode, but to run it for thousands of hours during per year. And continued efforts to detect returns from solar corona and possibly track coronal mass ejections will also continue. So in summary, we've made significant new investments in our facilities, and we look forward to seeing some greater scientific returns from them. Thank you.
Thank you. So our third speaker is Tai-Yin Huang from Data Infrastructure, but she's also handled the aeronomy program.
All right, good morning. So I'm just going to give an update on some of the things happening in the running program in CEDAR, and also I'm going to touch upon data system that the things that we've been working on. And so, as you know, when you submit a proposal and when you get the award, the PI has the responsibility to do a project report. So the project has the annual report, the final report, and also the project outcome report. Now, for the final report, this is a question that I often got from the PI. So for the final report, you want to treat that just like an annual report, and you just need to report the activity within that award year. You don't have to, write everything from the very beginning. And also, for a collaborative report, for a collaborative project, PI only needs to include the activities on their side. You can include the collaborators' activity only when their activity involve you. If you, for example, if you have a collaborative project, but you each doing something a little bit different, but there is some sort of a conjunction there, you only need to include the one that you're part of. And also, since this, for the collaborative project, I think it is reasonable to expect you to include the collaborators and also the institutions in the participant and organization section. So, because this being a collaborative, they are part of the project, right? And also, let me see. So you want to submit the project outcomes only when the award ends. If you plan to, apply for the no-cost extension, don't submit the project outcomes report. And also, let me see. Right. So you want to submit report by the due date to avoid delay for getting a new award, supplement receiving the continuity grant, and that applies to your collaborator as well. That's you're involved in a collaborative project, and you have a award. You are being considered for award. If your collaborator did not submit the report, then it's going to delay the process. So make sure that everyone pay attention to that. And also, when you send an email to the NSF, any correspondence with the NSF, when you have any questions about your award, please include your award numbers in the subject title, because that number is the identification of your award, and that will help us identify or retrieve the information of that award. Now, regarding data management plan, I've been looking at the data management, and I found that there's a huge range of quality, so from very succinct to a very detailed data management, well thought out plan. So I just want to draw your attention to some of the components that you should consider in the data management plan. For example, what kind of products that will coming out of your research. You need to describe what kind of product, and whether it be the observations, simulations, or the software. And also you want to, let's see, the standards. What kind of standards will be used for data and metadata format and content? That should be described in your data management plan as well. And also, what kind of policy, or if there's any, for accessing and sharing your data, or when I say data, it's in a much broader sense, includes the software, the code, and things like that. So, and also, do you have any policy for reuse or redistribution of your product? And also, let me see. Plans to archiving data, do you have any plans to archive the data? And if you have, what is the duration and what is the location? So all this needs to be, written in your data management plan, because data management plan will be considered in the broader impact. And so I just want, since we're talking about data system and data management, I want to just bring, just let you know about the NSF funding opportunity for data system. Is that, oh, actually there's a screen there, sorry. For the top one is the Research Coordination Network. This is the one that is developed by other program, but if you're interested, if you think that, look at the solicitation, if you think that, this will fit into your, or what you're trying to propose, you can reach out to me, and we can, go further to discuss whether that will be a good fit. And also there's, effective practices for making research data discoverable and citable, and that will, and also the geoinformatics, and also the pilot project for Cyber Infrastructure Center of Excellence. All these are active solicitations. So if you have any research ideas, regarding data systems, that will be the good one to. These are the good ones to explore. And I also want to just, let you know about, the data system infrastructure that Geospace section has been supported. For example, the modular data database. And also the SuperMag, and also the Community Coordinating Modeling Center. So I think Phil Erickson is here, and also Yuja is also here. So if you have any data needs, talk to them first to see what they can do for you. And if what they offer does not fit into your need, then you can talk to me, okay? And also, the AGS-wide supported data system, we have the NCAR Geoscience Data Exchange, and also NCAR's Climate Data Gateway, and also CEDAR and HAO. So all of this, I think, if you want to use their service, it comes with a price, but definitely you can, incorporate those expenses into a proposal. All right, and lastly, I just want to talk about our commitment to open science. So as you know, NSF is gearing to sharing data, sharing science, and making the science open to reach out to more people. To that end, within the our section, we'll consider establishing an active collaboration with federal agencies to leverage resources, because we don't want to repeat, but we want to leverage resources what's available out there. And also, we are considering sponsoring a community workshop on data system infrastructure. We're still working out the details about how to do that and who should be involved. But if you're interested in being part of this workshop, please reach out to me. We will appreciate your comments and suggestions and things, and your involvement as well. And also, we will consider developing a data policy in line with the FAIR principles. Unfortunately, this is the reality. We are gearing through that. So if you're resistant to sharing your data, you need to change your mindset. And we would also consider requesting PIs to report data management plan practices in the project report. It hasn't been reinforced, but we are trying to come up with ways to help to hold the PIs accountable for their data management plans. And so lastly, I just want to mention that we are reviewing data management, as Alan mentioned earlier. We are reviewing data management plan and also the annual reports of the active awards in the Geospace science programs, and to identify gaps in support that will be needed for open science. We do understand this will be a huge burden on the PIs if you want to make it, for open science. But this is why we're doing this, in order to identify what kind of resources that you will need and what kind of support that you will need. And so as Alan was mentioned, I think he introduced Victoria. Are you here, Victoria Gomez? She's, okay, there she is. She's working with me and Charlene, and so she'll be doing this. This will be her summer project. And for question, comments, suggestion, idea down there, system infrastructure, you can email me, and also I actually bring Charlene with me to do this. And by the way, before I finish, I just want to mention that for the GIC and Power Grid Innovation Lab, I think the application deadline is July 15th. And also there's only, I just want to supplement what Ellen just said. So the 30 applicants will receive, for those selected to participate, you'll get full support. And it's going to be held, travel support. And it's going to be held in Golden, Colorado, sometime in September. So you want to start if you are interested, submit to, apply to that. And Lisa Winter is the one who's in charge of that. And what else? I think that's, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Tai-Yin. So to ask questions, we have two ways. We can ask questions in person here, and also for those of you who want to ask questions through a Slido, you can go to slido.com and choose number 3240997, and that's showing right now on the screen. So let's see, we have questions here in the audience first, and Shu Wei can help me out. There's a question in the back. Yes, the microphone, please. Okay. Okay, so the question is, any updates on IceCat 3D collaborations, right? Okay, so on the NSF side.
Right, so there's not much update on that yet, but certainly IceCat still in the starting phase. But so far, again, our intention is to understand the needs from the community and then assess whether, in terms of the membership, whether it's better for each individual, institutions to join or NSF-wide. So we don't have any decision on that yet.
Okay. Yes, in the walkie. Okay, the microphone, Sue, in the walkie has a question here.
So can I answer the DAISY question for now? Yeah. So the DAISY, we certainly see that the DAISY is a very good program for the community. In addition to this large facility at the individual site, but this DAISY is a really great concept to have networked instruments. But whether we have another DAISY depends on the future budget. In terms of the existing DAISY award, I know it's coming up, expiring. So our policy is that the DAISY will not be renewed within the facility, but that doesn't mean that your work will not be supported. So the intention is that after the initial award, the DAISY network is set up and it's being proven and all it's functioning, then you need to submit the regular research proposals, okay, to agronomy, for example, to continue support it. So the DAISY-related activities.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's go to the in-person question next.
My question is Thea Yen, because I'm glad to see the data management program director is established. So a few years ago, the ISWI, UN-led ISWI, tried to have a common database for all data, including the station operated by DoD. So is there a plan to have a common database for all variety of instruments that has been deployed out there?
So just, all right.
If you go there, because
go there.
they make video
So just based on what we have looking through, I think Around Me is the program that has a lot of that needs a lot of work, in terms of data, and so I think for the for all the ground-based, because Around Me does support a lot of ground-based instrumentation, and each PI has their own data, and each PI kind of work independently, has been or have been, but it's probably going to change. But we're still working out ways to how to do that. And like I said, Magical database is a very good one to use. We spend a lot of money, not a lot of money, but we invest in Magical, so we want people to use that. So if you have any data needs, and I think Magical pretty much like is what you're thinking about. But again, this is a question for the community. Do we just want a data hub, or we want several hubs? And this will be something to think about, and that will be something to be discussed, during the, whenever you're talking about the data system. I think that will be something for you, because there are pros and cons, and we are here to support you, but we need to know what kind of support you need, and you need to let us know, okay?
The first question? Okay, so maybe
So like I said, the data products is not just about the observations, but they also, has to do with the software and also data processing. I don't know our thoughts as a, I would say that it will be a huge burden on the PIs, and we are aware of that because I do modeling, and I do know that how much time and effort that you have to do to make your model to be available to other people, because you're the model developer, so you know how to do it. But then there are things that you have to make adjustments. So you just have so again, we are here to help you, to provide support, but you'll be the one to do the work. So that's basically my thought at the moment. Yeah.
Anthea, you want to add something? Okay, go ahead.
On the question about ISRs, so you saw Roman's talk. We have, this past year given lots of support to this several ISRs, and we are glad to see that's it's improving and in good operation status. And we do intend to continue doing that. In terms of GDC, certainly, GDC, we very much like to support ground-based facility to have simultaneous measurement with GDC. But that being said, GDC launch is beyond the 5 years plan, so that's how NSF works. But that is definitely our intention, and we try to manage the budget carefully, so make sure that this instrument will be there for the GDC and others. Okay. So so for this one, I think it's certainly a good practice to start this, including this cost. I mean, we don't object that. If you have specific tasks that you want to put in to make the data open access, fair, compliant, and all that, that's certainly fine. NSF, I don't think currently has a cross-border policy requiring that yet, but we are trying, moving into that direction. Okay, and another thing I want to add on to Tai-Yin's comment about the data, data format, across board. I think that's a much bigger question and takes, lots of effort. But we can start small, at least within the Around Me community or Geospace. Magical certainly is used by many others, but also again, this has to come from the community, see what community needs. And also keep in mind that it's not just a ground-based facility. The GDC and other, NASA is also working on their data, type of related policy. And in fact, we are also trying to coordinate with NASA. It will be ideal that all the data, ground-based or space-based, will have a somewhat uniform way to access. And that will be, ideal for the users. Okay.
Thank you, Alan. Let's thank our speakers from NSF. So I think we can move into our next speaker from NASA Heliophysics. So John McCormack is here. John. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to wait for the slides to pop up on the monitor here. I'd like to say thank you very much to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to discuss and give an update on the heliophysics activities. Sorry, yeah, are we getting the slides up? There we go. Thank you. It is really a pleasure to do this. Last year, I gave this update from the comfort of my own home, and so now I'm back to the in-person meetings, and I'll admit it's a little, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to again, but I'm really happy to be here. I'd like to start off with just this map of the what we call the HSO, the Heliophysics System Observatory, showing the large number of operating missions that we have, missions in formulation or under study, as indicated here. And in addition to maybe what you would call the larger satellite missions, we also have the CubeSats and hosted payloads listed here. The message I'd like to get across here is basically that compared to about a solar cycle ago, we've got a lot of, or maybe a lot more of these missions in place, and a lot more of these missions with an ITM focus in place, including both the satellite missions, the operating missions, the missions in development, and the CubeSats. And so it's an exciting time. And I think it's also exciting because, whoops, I'm sorry. I'm getting used to this. The sun is waking up, as we know. Solar cycle 25 is here. And it looks as if this may be a more active solar max period than was originally thought. And this has some very important implications, particularly because this could be the first solar max period where many new commercial and government stakeholders will be operating in. And I think we're all pretty much aware of what happened last February with Starlink. And there's some important takeaways from that event. The first takeaway is basically that this was a moderate storm. And yet, because of the timing and the situation, the particular situation, there was a loss of anywhere between $10 and $20 million of assets in terms of spacecraft. And the CME, the actual event itself, had been tracked for quite a long time, but I was thinking about it. They talk about supply chains. They'll talk about how the last mile to delivery is very difficult. Well, in this case, we were tracking this whole event, but that last bit, what's going to happen when the interaction of this disturbance with the thermosphere and the ionosphere, that's still something that we need to understand and explore better. And if we'd had some real-time measurements, for example, yesterday they were talking about implementing some real-time data capabilities for GDC coming up. If we'd had that sort of information, maybe we could have avoided it. So all by way of saying research into this and research to operations and how storms like this, even moderate storms, are affecting our environment are very important. And I'll just stop here to give a quick plug because there is a R2O, or Research to Operations session later this morning. And if you're available, I think it'd be great for you folks to take part in that. So having said that, I'd like to just sort of, I've got a lot of stuff to cover. I'll try not to go too fast. If I don't have time to address everything fully or answer your questions, I'm here all of today, all of tomorrow, and Thursday. I'd be happy to talk with anybody. If I can't get you the answers you need, I'll help you find who can in terms of heliophysics at NASA. But what I'd like to do is just give a quick snapshot going through. We've got 3 missions in development right now, Solar Cruiser, EASY, and EUVST in coordination with JAXA. I'll talk a little bit more about EASY, and you heard some about it yesterday. We're continuing support for 8 other missions in implementation listed here, which includes the Atmospheric Waves Experiment. We're supporting the recently selected GDC teams. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We're going to be supporting 2 recent MIDEX-19 selections, Helioswarm and Muse. We're releasing a small Explorers announcement of opportunity. I believe the final version of that AO will be coming out in August, and I believe currently the target due date's November 21st November. Of course, we're supporting the decadal survey activities, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Trying to maintain a healthy research and analysis program at the same time, we are, and investing in modernization of data archives and open science initiatives, implementing IDEA initiatives, which I'll talk about, and engaging the public through things like the Heliophysics Big Year. So there's a lot going on. One of the things that I have enjoyed in my time as a program scientist here, especially working with operating missions, is sharing the news of all the great science that's being done. And so I just wanted to give some recent highlights that sort of have an ITM focus. Certainly, there's the 20th anniversary of the TIMED mission, which we celebrated last December, the 20th anniversary of its launch. And you know, having an asset up there that long, in addition to other things like the AIM mission or the UARS, or not sorry, UARS, or MLS, dating myself there, we're able to do science that's pretty you know, unique. And one of them is seeing how the long-term trends in the upper atmosphere, the thermospheric temperatures, the mesospheric temperatures, are evolving over time. And particularly, there was a study combining MLS, timed and AIM, looking at the cooling and contracting in the mesosphere. So that was a nice highlight. Also, the ICON mission finding effects of the Tonga volcanic eruption reaching all the way up to the ionosphere. And also, finally, the GOLD mission, which had actually been publishing some studies along the same lines of how moderate geomagnetic storms can, in fact, produce thermospheric heating and affect the density. And this last figure down here in the bottom right was provided by Fazul Alaskar and the GOLD team just to illustrate that point. So just some really fun, amazing stuff, in my opinion, coming from these ITM missions. And now looking at the upcoming, you've heard again about the EASY mission and AWE. EASY is scheduled to launch, I believe, no earlier than December 24. AWE will be launching sooner, probably summer, hopefully, of next year. These missions are very exciting because, again, they're making their measurements right about the mesopause region, the region where sort of the Earth Science Division and the Heliophysics Division sort of, they have this barrier, or not barrier, but a boundary there. And I think these missions are a great opportunity to explore sort of looking past these boundaries and improving our understanding of what we would call middle atmosphere science, and really developing the modeling, the data assimilation, and the observation capabilities for a whole atmosphere perspective. I've also noted here some CubeSat missions, which with an ITM focus, there's a lot of them. I may have missed a few. If I did, apologies. But the other point I'd like to make is that with these missions upcoming, as well as our current ones, these are great opportunities for collaboration with ground-based observations. And the previous speakers here, they showed Millstone Hill and Arecibo, and I just thought in the back of my mind, man, I should have made another slide, because there's been some great interactions between, for example, the ICON mission and taking sort of measurements in concert with Millstone Hill and the Arecibo facilities. There's also been exciting things with ICON and rocket measurements. So there's a lot of opportunities, and I would just encourage the community here to explore, you know, moving forward, how can ground-based observations complement and enhance the science, not just of GDC, like we've been talking about in the future, but even these missions, these types of missions that are maybe even more sort of front and center in terms of time, you know, coming up soon. GDC, I will note that we are thrilled to announce that the teams have been established. You heard about the IDS teams yesterday and the investigations that have been selected. There is still a competitive Phase A for down select of, I believe, 2 more instruments out of the remaining ones listed here on the bottom. As you may know, GDC was recommended in the high priority in the last decadal. The budget picture has delayed things, and so the implementation of GDC has been sort of pushed to the right, so to speak. And that's just something that we've had to encounter and manage. And also, as you probably, or you may be aware, because of this need to support current and planned PI-led projects within our portfolio right now, the current FY23 budget did not specifically include funding for dynamic. So the dynamic announcement for opportunity has been delayed, has not been canceled. If you look at the Science Office for Mission Assessment, or SOMA website, you can find more information and that AO, notice of AO delay. And that's sort of the picture that we're operating in right now. The letters in support of CEDAR, from CEDAR in support of GDC and Dynamic, we've seen them. We are very grateful for the support that the CEDAR community has been showing for these, and certainly Heliophysics really, is, nobody wants to see the success of these missions more than us. But these are this is sort of the environment that we're working in right now. We're going to lean forward and develop as much as we can, again, through the building of the IDS teams and the work that we can do now. But again, the appreciation and the support from the CEDAR community is very much something that we appreciate. I mentioned maintaining a healthy RNA program, so I wanted to next just describe some of the things that we're doing for RNA, moving sort of clockwise from the top left. We're maintaining our drive initiative with Phase 2 selections that were recently made for 3 centers. We want to continue supporting a robust suborbital program, maintaining the early career investigator program, cadence every 2 years, for soliciting those proposals, and in engaging efforts across the board to increase diversity in research. We'll talk a bit more about that with the IDEA efforts, and cross-divisional programs. Just very briefly, we've got a success rate in ROSES 20 of about 33%. ROSES 21 selections are almost finished, but not quite. In ROSES 22, we've got a strong emphasis on a number of new elements, including space weather centers of excellence. And finally, going clockwise, citizen science, we've got several very exciting opportunities, which I won't have time to go into too much, except I want to emphasize the Heliophysics big year that we've got coming up, and I'll talk about that just very briefly. So the Drive Science Center selections, as I mentioned, 3 were selected. The CGS, or Center for Geospace Storms, led by Slava Merkin and his team, is one with a particular focus on space weather and its impacts on the atmosphere, ionosphere, magnetosphere system. A quick plug for the Sounding Rocket Symposium that's coming up in August. Deadlines to submit for this are coming up rapidly, as indicated in the slide here. And this is, again, part of our suborbital program. It's going to be a very exciting opportunity for folks in geospace, astrophysics, and solar to get together and talk about this program. The decadal survey, there was a lot of talk about the decadal survey yesterday. 2 things that I'd like to emphasize is, again, because of the timing, don't wait to write your white papers. And right down at the bottom of that screen is where you can find the draft white paper guidelines. I'm hoping that these slides will be made available so folks can grab that. But if you go to their website again for the decadal survey, you can find the draft white paper guidelines. So again, start now. So I wanted to touch very briefly on IDEA, inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility in heliophysics. We recognize that this is something that will take a long-term, devoted, dedicated effort. But there are things we can do in the near and midterms to help advance this. And so some of these are listed here. I want to specifically call out that for some of the newly selected missions, we're expanding and encouraging and incentivizing for these projects to reach new populations of researchers and students. And Punch, IMAP, and EASY in particular have been, would just like to note, have been extremely innovative in their approaches to these. I don't have too much time to go into the details here, but if you'd like to know more, please ask me. Also establishing support network for early, mid, and career in partnership with other SMD divisions and other societies. We've got ideas for, no pun intended, for developing better approaches to diversity in the RNA program, including code of conduct, dual anonymous reviews, also expanding the reviewer pools and trying to employ best practices overall for just sort of expanding our reach across these disciplines. If you have more information, or I'm sorry, if you have more, you'd like to talk to our working group chairs, Kelly Corrick and Denise Hill, are listed here for the IDEA working group. And very briefly, the Heliophysics Big Year is something that's been coming up. Big Year is a birding term for maximizing the number of species that a particular birder observes. And in heliophysics, what we're looking for is over this period of solar max, we'll also have 2 solar eclipses across North America. And this is a great opportunity to engage the public and citizen scientists in heliophysics in general. And so just very briefly, if you'd like to be part of some of these efforts to expand our reach, our public outreach efforts related to the Big Year, you can look for the Helio citizen science programs and Big Year. So lastly, I'd just like to just say, as always, get involved and stay informed with heliophysics. There's a variety of ways you can do this. Signing up for the Nikki Notes. You can go into the Science Mission Directorate and look at recent virtual town halls as listed here. I want to call out very specifically if you're doing research of any kind, supported by Helio, submit Helio Science Highlights as indicated here. And also, very briefly, I'm becoming more involved with the Living with a Star, the LWS research program. And again, we have another way to submit research highlights through the Living with a Star targeted research and technology website listed here. We want to know all the great stuff that you guys are doing. Lastly, of course, volunteer for a panel if you'd like, or when we come asking, please say yes if we ask you to be on a panel. Because it's really important. We need the expertise, and we need, again, a diverse group of people reviewing these proposals. So please say yes if we ask. And I got a little bit over my time, so I apologize, but 2 very late-breaking things. Again, as mentioned, the Lotus Town Hall today at 12:30. If you don't know what Lotus is, come to the town hall, and the acronym will be explained. No, it's a very exciting opportunity. I'd like to share more about this. And finally, there's a job opportunity for program scientists that'll be opening in mid-July, program scientists at Heliophysics. I don't have any more details right now, but it will be through the USA Jobs site. If you're familiar with USA Jobs, you need to sort of have all your stuff in before the job announcement comes out, because usually the time to submit the actual materials through USA Jobs is very limited. So if you'd like to know more, you can ask me, or just keep a lookout for that, because again, it's CEDAR community members would be very welcome to or encouraged to apply. And so that I'll stop. I don't know if there's time for questions. I apologize for going over, but thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think we have time for a quick question, Jens.
So thank you for this update. So as you are aware, the CEDAR community is in strong support for both the GDC and the dynamic missions. So the community statements, for example, that you acknowledged. Yesterday, we learned that it is actually a good idea to submit as many white papers as possible in support both for the GDC and the dynamic missions to the next decadal survey. So I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about what else can this community really do to express our strong support for both missions, for GDC and dynamic?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, yeah, I don't have a good, I'm going to look at my colleague Jared here if he has some good ideas.
So I think the immediate thing is the decadal survey. So that is the immediate way that you can get involved and show support. The members of the committee and the panels will be announced. The community letters are also a good way. The thing we liked about the letters is how the community supported the science and talked about the positive way that NASA was trying to implement them. There are discussion points beyond the scope of this meeting, that certain sensitivities. So I think those two things, and when you talk to other members of the community, having a single message. One of the difficulties with messaging about how engaged and enthusiastic you are, it is often the A or B. The way we are approaching GDC plus dynamic is really A plus B. And I think keeping that forefront in your mind and in your messaging is one aspect of the engagement and the enthusiasm that I think will help communicate your support for both. Beyond that, John and I are under limitations, and there isn't really a lot else that we can suggest that you do. So I will stop there. John and I will be around if you would like to have a short discussion with us afterwards, or any other questions about the decadal survey or what we saw in the letter of support. Come up and please talk to us.
Thank you, John. Okay, Larissa, one last question.
In continuation of these discussions, you said one of the things that community can do is work on decadal survey papers. Does it mean that decisions will not be made until after all considerations by decadal survey committee? I mean decisions about GDC and dynamic.
The answer is no, but. So no, we are, as John said, leaning forward. We have a plan. We are going to be communicating that plan to the Decadal Survey Committee, and we are going to be moving forward. However, with the way that the timing works out, the Decadal Survey report will be coming at a point where they could recommend that we stop. And it would be early enough in the development cycles that we would be able to stop without incurring undue costs and such to the taxpayer. So we are moving forward, but the continued support in the decadal survey is important. If the next question is, do we have any updates on timelines? John covered that, and the answer is no. But as soon as we have the information or any additional information that we can release about timelines and what the schedule will be, we will release it through the SOMA website and the community mailing lists.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, John. I think we should move to the next speakers. We're running very late. Sorry about that. If you have questions in Slido, I hope we can reply to that later. I think we can get a response if you write your question in Slido. And also, Alan, Tai-Yin, and Roman will be here also the rest of the week, so you can ask them questions about the NSF presentation, and also to John, of course, about his presentation. So our next speaker is an online, and it's Julie Moses from the Air Force Office of Sponsor Research. So Julie, you ready to go?
Yes, I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. We can see you too.
Okay, I will attempt to share my screen. There we go. See, I haven't really been talking this morning yet, so if I
we don't see
need
your
a drink of water, excuse me.
We don't see
I'm
your
sorry.
screen. We just see you.
Oh, you can't see my talk. Oh, huh. Okay. I can do this. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to be talking about the space science funding opportunities at AFOSR. AFOSR is the Air Force Office of Scientific Research. I work there as the program officer for space science, and we fund basic research in all manner of space science, from the mesosphere all the way out to the sun. A lot of people have been really curious about the Space Force since its creation. This kind of busy chart shows how the DoD Space Weather Enterprise is organized. And the Space Force is way over on the right, and we are way over on the left. But anyway, it's kind of hard to say anything. It's right now it's organized very bureaucratically, and some things haven't really changed because the 557th Weather Wing it's still part of the Air Force. And so the actual space weather forecasting is part of the Air Force, whereas all the satellites and all the operations of the satellites and all the policy and development related to space is all on the Space Force side. And so that's, I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the future, because it's, I think there's a little bit of possible conflict there. But anyway, I am doing both. I'm working for both the Air Force and the Space Force, funding research relevant to DoD space weather. Okay, I'm going to go over some of our programs that you can apply to if you're not familiar with them. The depth score program, this is just like the NSF EPSCOR program, and depth score was done away with around 2006 or so. They brought it back. They brought it back in a fairly significant way. The first year, it was authorized, but they didn't really have a budget for it. And so I had one of my young investigator programs was funded by depth score. Second year it came out and they had a big announcement about they wanted proposals from space. And so I did get a couple proposals, and University of Iowa was awarded a depth score. It was for an equipment award, and so it was around $1 million a year award that they received. And this in FY21, it didn't really say that they wanted space proposals. I think they would have taken them, but I didn't have any applicants. This year, I think it might be equipment again, but the BAA, I believe, has just come out on depth score. So if you're interested in looking at that, go to grants.gov, and then just in the search bar, put in AFOSR, and it'll list all the active BAAs for AFOSR, and you can check that out and see what's in there. I believe today we're having a seminar at noon talking about the depth score program. So sorry, I don't have a lot of detail on what's going on with the opportunities with that. AFOSR also has it's a National Defense Science and Engineering graduate program. And this is a really big deal. It's similar to the NSF program. There's now more of a mentor program in it where you can attach yourself to a person who works at DoD and the DoD labs, and you can also spend a summer there and things like that. So there's more of a service aspect to it, and you need to have the connection with DoD. But it's a really great program. It gives you about a pretty decent stipend and pays all your tuition and things like that. The DURIP program. This is an equipment program that actually I think I've gotten a lot of mileage out of it for the space science community. The grants run about, each of us get around $450K or so to award each year. Last year, I didn't get any proposals for DURIP, which really shocked me. The year before, I'd gotten 4 to 5 proposals, but we got extra money from Congress that was flavored for DURIP. And so I was able to, give an award for every proposal I received. And so I funded like 5. I consider this a really good deal. I've purchased a lot of ionosons and GNSS stations and things like that for people. It's been a really impactful program, I believe. The Young Investigator Program, this is similar to other agencies' Young Investigator programs. You need to be, I believe it's within 7 years of receiving your PhD. The awards are capped. It's a 3-year award for $150K annually. So it's a pretty modest award. It's required that you be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident to receive the award. You need to be employed by a U.S. institution, and we're not limited to a university. If you're working for a research institution, a UARC, or something like Astra or Northwest Research Associates, something like that, you can still apply. That program, I believe, it's really nice for people who want to get themselves a little bit established in the field. We've gone mostly to a white paper model with the Young Investigator Program, where you send me, there's a formal process, it's in the BAA, where you send in a white paper by a certain date. And then if we accept your white paper, then you can put in the full proposal. We just the deadline just closed last Monday for the YIP for FY23. And so you'll have to wait till next year for the new BAA to come out. The MIRI program, the Multidisciplinary University Research Initiative, this is a DoD-wide program, and every year AFOSR will have in the BAA around 7 to 8 topics that will be open for proposals every year. We're just finishing a MIRI that was with University of Texas, Austin. And so now I'm feeling good. My MIRI project that I pitched last week, it got accepted for me to write up the full proposal. So I'm not going to say what the topic is yet, but there's a special initiative. It goes government-wide in global climate change, and the topic is related to climate change. They're looking for that. I'm working with ONR and Dan Eleuterio over there on a joint topic. And so I'm feeling good. Keep your eyes out for a new MIRI topic. These are substantially funded. It's a 3-year award with 2 option years. Usually people get the option years if they're performing well. And it's around, the award can be $1 million to $1.5 million a year. And so what you need to do when you propose to a MIRI is you get together a multidisciplinary research group. You can have more than one university involved in the project. Yeah, it's a really good program. We get quite a bit out of it. How to apply for funds. I mentioned it before that you go to grants.gov and then you can search for AFOSR. We have one broad agency announcement. It's called Research Interests of AFOSR. That one is open all the time. And you can send me a white paper anytime. Sometimes the white papers get a little buried in the email. And so be persistent and contact me again if you don't hear from me after a few weeks. In the proposal, let's start first with the white paper, because otherwise the proposals can get kind of out of control. But in the abstract, I like you to say, just forthright, say what you're going to do in your research proposal. Just outright, you don't have to give a lot of background or anything like that. In the body of the proposal, that's where you can go wild and make the case for why this topic is important and why it is an outstanding science question. And then in the research plan, actually outline the research that you're going to do. One of the things that I've learned to do over the years, because I have to look at a lot of proposals, is that when I read a proposal, the first thing I do is I look at the abstract, so I get an idea what you're doing. And then I go immediately to your budget. And because the budget will say, who is working on the project, how many people, how much time they're going to put in. It tells me whether you're, buying any equipment and so on and so forth. And so then I go back and actually look at the body of the proposal. Just in case you're wondering, but that's one of the reasons I want the abstract to please say what you're going to do. A lot of people have been mentioning the decadal study, and I'm actually throwing in a little monetary support to the National Academy for that too, because I'm very interested in where people in the field think the field is going to go, and what they want to do in the future that will help me actually plan my program and communicate to the Air Force and Space Force where things are going. So are there any questions?
Thank you, Yuli. So we have just time for one question, quick question for Julie. And if not, we're going to move on. Thank you, Julie, for the presentation.
Okay.
You may have questions through Slido. So we're running a little bit late. Sorry about that. So you can always post your question in Slido. You'll get a response. We'll work on that with Basti and Shuwen. So let's welcome our next speaker because we don't have time. We're really running very late. So where's Irfan? Is he here? Virtual, okay. Is he? Okay, Irfan, go ahead. So let's welcome Irfan Azeem from NOAA Space Weather Observation Program. So please take it away, Irfan.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So good morning. I'm Irfan Azeem, and I'm glad to see that the CEDAR workshop is happening this year in person. I'd like to thank the CEDAR Steering Committee for giving OPA the opportunity to update the CEDAR community on our space weather observations program, some of the recent activities that are going on. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person. I'll say Talat also sends his request for not being there in person to update the community on our space weather observation program. We have a major program review this week that conflicted with CEDAR workshop, and hopefully we can attend the workshop in person next year. So here's just a quick outline of my talk. I'm just going to give a really briefly on the NOAA's organizational structure to just show you how the space weather observational program fits into the NOAA structure, and discuss, give an overview of the current and planned space weather research planning activities and the space weather observation program, so a new program that is going to consolidate NOAA's space weather observational capabilities under a single office. And then I'll also briefly describe some of the opportunities for early career scientists as well as student internship at NOAA. So just in a broad term, NOAA, National Environmental Satellite Data and Information System, NESDIS mission is to provide secure and timely access to global environmental data and information from satellite and other sources to promote and protect nation security, environment, economy, and quality of life. And NESDIS's environmental monitoring capabilities also include space weather measurements. So we all know about the GOES-R program that provides weather data, but we also at NESDIS provide operational space weather measurements to our users. NESDIS is embarking on creating a new space weather program, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. And that program will provide continuity of space weather monitoring to our users. And we'll do that by supporting our existing space weather forecasting and warning capabilities, as well as providing improved capabilities for space weather measurements. Supporting national priorities for space weather forecasting, continuing NOAA's commitment to the coordination group for meteorological satellite baseline, and supporting WMO's strategic vision. So here's just the sort of organizational structure of NOAA. NOAA is an agency within the Department of Commerce. It has 6 line offices, NESDIS being one of the 6 line offices of NOAA. Within our office, Office of Project Planning and Analysis is part of NESDIS. I'll say Talat is the director. Rich Ullman is his deputy, and we have 2 divisions within the office. One is the Research to Operation and Project Planning Division. I'm the division chief for that division. ROPD is really responsible for the early pre-phase A and early formulation of our space weather missions. And project management and execution division is led by Jim Silva. And that division is really responsible for acquisition and execution of our research missions. ROPD division chief position is currently vacant, and I believe either today or tomorrow, NESDIS will advertise a open position for that vacancy, and I'll talk more about that. So NESDIS, for NESDIS, space weather is a strategic priority. It's one of the 3 pillars of NESDIS' strategic objective. Geo observations being one, geo observations being one, and space weather observations to provide observational leadership on all applicable orbits from LEO, GEO, HEO, Lagrange point being our 3rd pillar. So our current program of record has several space weather elements. Space weather follow-on being one, GOES-R, Cosmic 2, MEDOP, C, 2nd generation MEDOP satellites that host NOAA-provided particle measurements, and ESA visual at L5, where NOAA is going to provide again a instrument, coronagraph instrument for that mission. So these are our current program of record. Just a quick update on our current mission, Cosmic 2, that was launched in June 2019. The mission status is nominal. The Cosmic 2 carries TGRS instruments for providing electron density profiles and IVM measuring plasma drift speeds. As of February 2022, the requirements are for both number of occultation counts as well as latency requirements are being met. Currently, the Cosmic 2 mission is providing roughly over 12,000 counts per day, average over a 30-day period. The daily median latency is about 27 minutes, where the requirement is about 30 minutes, and the plot on the right shows number of occultation and arc counts for different flight modules from 1 through 7 in different colors from 2019 to a current period. And again, showing that we are meeting our requirements for providing occultation counts as well as the latency. GOES-18 was launched on March 1st, 2022. And GOES-18 carries several space weather related instruments. One instrument is the particle sensor for monitoring magnetospheric, solar, and galactic particles. GOES-18 also carries a measures solar X-ray and UV reflex and a magnetic field sensor. The satellite is currently going through checkout. All spacecraft subsystems appear nominal, including space weather instrument. The payload on GOES-18 are similar to those that flew on 16 and 17 as far as the space weather instruments are concerned. The space weather in situ suite or SICE instrument, and that's the plot that is shown in the bottom left, it has been collecting data continually since April 25th, 2022. And it monitors proton, electrons, and heavy ion fluxes in the magnetosphere. And the plot here in the bottom left shows number of radiation belt disturbances throughout the 3-day period of April 27th to the 19th of 2022. Data on the right is from the GMAG sensor, the magnetic field sensor on April 27, 2022. And again, this data shows some of the variations due to plasma waves. Some of the current key activities within our office, so I'll start from the bottom. We have delivered a compact chronograph to be integrated on the GOES-U spacecraft. This compact chronograph is built by NRL, and our nominal launch date is 2024. We are also currently working with the NRL to develop a compact chronograph to fly on our space weather follow-on satellite that will be launched at the L1 point. And then we are also providing a similar chronograph for the ESA Vigil mission at L5. The SWIFO L1 mission will be a rideshare mission with NASA IMAP, and the nominal launch date is 2025. And then we also are in discussion with our partners for a potential contributed instrument that could be flown on the SWIFO L1 spacecraft. Going forwards to some of the other activities, we are participating in the NASA Space Weather Research to Operation to Research program. We have supported 2 projects that support NOAA's mission needs. The first one is the Whole Atmosphere Ionosphere Data Simulation Ensemble Forecast System from Tomoko Matsuo, who's the PI at CU Boulder. The second project is low elevation multi-GNSS signal processing for remote sensing. The PI is Jade Morton at CU Boulder. And as we are developing our space weather observation program, we are supporting several space weather related observing system simulation experiments that they're listed here, but I'm not going to go into too many details. But these Aussie studies span range of topics from thermospheric studies all the way to radiation belt observation. We are also supporting the NASA Punch mission, and their NOAA is supporting punch data processing that could help mitigate the impact of potential gap in our operational solar observation. Recently, NOAA released a space weather commercial weather data pilot, RFP. It was led by OSAP, and we are currently reviewing the proposal that were received in response to this proposal. We are also working with OSAP on this joint venture program, and the joint venture program really leverages the development of new technology and new data sources that are being developed or being supported by other federal agencies or partner, and that they could be leveraged to best meet Nestis's operational needs. So as part of this joint venture program, we're supporting development of an instrument called Tiny Remote Sensing Instrument for thermospheric oxygen and nitrogen, being developed by NRL. In terms of budget for FY22, the enacted budget had 8.1 million allocated for Cosmic 2 operations, roughly 147 million for SWIFO program, and 55 million for the Space Weather Next program. In FY23, NOAA proposed to establish a new office called Space Weather Observations Program, and the goal of that office will be to manage the future space weather observations as a loosely coupled program. And we're going to implement that program as a joint office between NOAA and NASA at Goddard. So our vision is that the Space Weather Observation Program will organize NOAA's space weather satellite observation under a single office. It will initiate different projects to deploy and sustain Nestis flight and ground-based equipment for space-based measurements. And I've already mentioned that it will be implemented on NASA program office at Goddard, and we're in discussions with Goddard for establishing this program. So looking ahead, the Space Weather Observation Program is really NOAA's response to the Pro-SWIFT Act. So the Pro-SWIFT Act mandated NOAA to fulfill operational data continuity requirements for space weather and to meet NOAA's commitment for meeting our requirements as identified by NSOSA and Space Weather by the SWARM Committee, and by developing partnerships and leveraging resources across international and other partners to deliver space weather operational data to our users. So SWO will be looking at initiating multiple projects spanning the entire space from the sun to the earth. So we're looking at projects that will be deployed at the L1 or other Lagrange point, as well as geo and geo orbit, and also in the LEO orbital regimes. And I just wanted to briefly touch upon some of the career opportunities. So as I mentioned earlier, the ROTE Deputy Division Chief is currently vacant. So we are, I believe either today or tomorrow, we'll be advertising a position to fill that position. In addition to that position, there'll be additional 2 to 3 positions at ZP3, which is equivalent to DS 11 to 12, or ZP4, which is equivalent to GS 12 to 13 within PMAT and ROTE divisions. And all these positions will be advertised through the usajobs.gov website. So if you're interested in these positions, please take a look at usajobs.gov, or if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And there are a couple of internship opportunities, both for undergraduates as well as for graduates, as well as early career scientists. Again, you can, I've provided the links here, so you can look at those links. And again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. So just in summary, we're excited to start or initiate the Space Weather Observations Program that will advance NOAA's space weather observational leadership in providing operational space weather measurements to our users. We will initiate projects to sustain and enhance space weather observational capabilities and continue to improve and expand NOAA's space weather product suite. And we'll use this program to enhance and improve our collaboration with our partners, with international partners such as European Space Agency, as well as domestic partners such as NASA, as well as the Space Force and NSF, to deliver relevant space weather operational products to our users. And the goal is really to provide accurate and timely space weather information to users as well as the research community. So we are very excited that we're embarking on this exciting space weather observation program. And I'm happy to provide this update. And if you have any questions about our current activities or our future plans, I'm happy to answer those questions. So thank you.
Time for questions, unfortunately, because it's running very late. So please post your questions in Slido, and will you get a response, through Slido. Let's welcome our next speaker, Anthea Koster, who's going to give a report on Living with the Star. Anthea, okay, can you come over, please? Okay. Very fast. That would be great. Thank you. So you don't need this?
Hopefully I won't fall down and faint or something here. Okay. What do I need this? Oh, okay. Well, they have to get it up. So what I really want to do, and this is for the students, not for everybody else, to sort of introduce you to the LPAG. And I'm currently the co-chair. This will be my last year, but there are several members of the LPAG executive committee here. And really, I'm going to explain what it is, but we are the conduit to the Living with the Star program. So I suggest that you talk. Well, I mean, one thing we can do is talk to all the members here and give us your input. And I'll tell you what we normally do, but we certainly could collect information about dynamic and GDC and provide information back just to the Living with the Star office. So, but certainly go to this webpage and let me see. I think that's really what we're doing right now is reviewing the process of analyzing ways to improve the effectiveness. And you're going to see NASA is full of acronyms of FST reporting and FST selections. But FST are the focus science topics. And not this year, but next year, we are going to be soliciting this community. And that includes all of the students here for ideas for new science topics. And what we do is we then craft them into suggestions. We cannot write the FSTs that NASA uses, but we can give them suggestions, and then they can go back and rewrite them and modify them. And we do this process every 2 or 3 years. And I see Rich Collins, who used to be with us, was one of the people who I have spent many, many hours rewriting and writing FSTs. But that's the main job. So, as I said, the Living with the Star program serves as a community-based interdisciplinary forum for soliciting and coordinating community input for Living with the Star objectives and for examining the implications of these inputs for architecture planning activity. I can't read the last word, prioritization and future exploration. So everybody here actually in this room is a member of the LPAG. I'm just a member of the executive committee, but all of you are members. So just, as I said, feel free to come talk to us. The people, the main NASA people that are involved with this are now, I think this is the pointer, Simon Plunkett. I don't know if you know him. He replaces Jeff Morrill, who has recently retired. Lika, who many people know, and Xing Feng, who really helps us coordinate everything on the website. He's fantastic. So I'm one of the co-chairs. Sabrina Savage, who's more a Solar Shine member, is the other co-chair. And as I said, I'm stepping down. I've been on this committee for 4 or 5 years. Somebody from here will be replacing me. But people who are here, I know that Bob McCoy is here. Talk to him. Sabani is here. Are you in the room? Please stand up. Sabani, is Bob in the room? I think Tom Immel, are you in the room? Oh yeah, Bob, there's Bob. Talk to them. Tom Immel, are you here? He's here. Oh, there, he stood up. Good, thank you guys. Ryan McGranahan, is he here? He's, I think, coming, or at least online. He's one of our other members. Olga, I don't think is here, but she's certainly one of us. And Shasha Zhao, is she here? She may not be, but if you know any of these people, talk to them, and they will feed back to our committee. We will be having another meeting sometime in October or November. We will get information to people at NASA, and you know what they do with it, I don't know, but at least we can serve as a conduit, and that's our main purpose. All right, so just an overview of what we do. As I said, we do these, and again, these are NASA things, FSTs, focus science topics, and SSA revisions. SSA stands for Strategic Science Area. And we've done a lot of that in the last few years. We can implement these SIGs and SAGs. I'm not really sure. Science interest groups, study analysis groups, we might consider doing that. We can examine ways to optimize the LWS program. And in fact, that's what we are doing right now, trying to help analyze how to improve team reporting for these FST teams that many of us are on, and traceability. We can comment on the science, strategic capability, tools, and methods of LWS proposals, and we can provide comments on LWS infrastructure, such as the Jack Eddy program. And I think I'm going to end with this, but one really positive thing we did is I think we have now 4 Jack Eddy people positions, and that's partly because the LPAG actually said what a great program this was. We actually were trying to get them to even extend it from 2 years to 3 years. I don't think we got that, but there is now an additional Jack Eddy postdoc. So every student here should look into that if you're interested. It's a great program, and it can, you can get a pretty prestigious postdoc out of it before going to your next or whatever assignment you go to next. So I think that's where I want to end it, because I think it's break time, and the main thing is I would use this to provide feedback, and you've met the members, other members here, talk to us, and if you need any more information, ask me, go to the website, but just talk to us, okay? And you'll hear from us about getting input on science topics in the next 2 years, so keep an eye, and please give us your feedback at that time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so we might have time for just one quick question for Anthea. If there is. Once more, okay. So sorry about that. Let's go for the break for 10 minutes. And the students who are doing the poster competition, please make sure your poster is up by noon, and keep it until beyond 6:30 today. Okay?
Those of you who have asked questions on Slido, Jared and John have already replied. Please check it out, and we'll post responses to all your questions on Slido.
Thank you, everyone.